But I think that's a lovely. I love that hero, but I'm very into men who are good with words. So
Hands off my shepherd, Katie. Somehow, I think I've got quite a long way to go before I get my very own shiny pink cover. But there may be another role for me somewhere in the industry. Mills & Boon, good afternoon. How can I help you? The Desire series are love stories that leave you breathless, daring and provocative. Desire takes the reader on a red-hot ride of passion, highly sensuous and plays to deliver emotional satisfaction. How much does the average customer spend on their Mills & Boon fix?
In a month, the average customer probably spends between £10 and £20, but we've actually got customers spending over £100 a month.
£100 a month? How many books do they get for that?
And that's probably... It's probably nearly all the series, not all the series, but maybe 6 or 7 of the series. And there'll be 4 or 6 books in a series, so they can be having sort of in the range of 50 books in a month.
OK, medical romance. Delightful contemporary romances set against the background of the medical profession. Heroes and heroines find time for love in busy hospitals, GP surgeries or flying doctor stations. We could offer you that together with the historical romance series, which is medieval sagas to the roaring 20s. Historical romances feature captivating characters whose stories are played out against a backdrop of bygone days.
Our big spenders probably several hundred. I mean, we've got a few customers that have spent in the range of probably £20,000 in the time they've been members with us.
Wow. Well, we are beginning to introduce the Super Romance series, which is the Silhouette Super Romances. They're realistic, passionate, contemporary novels that are longer and more involved. And I would add they are a little bit longer than your average Mills & Boon, so you will get double the reading pleasure from them. Thank you very much for calling, and I hope you enjoy the books. Goodbye.
I can't believe they're here. Great. Let's see what's inside. Well, what does it say?
It's Modern Romance Extra.
Okay.
I've got Getting Hot in Hawaii.
The prince's virgin wife.
The Tycoon's Proposal.
Oh, look. She's there to handle his every need.
Taken by the Tycoon. Their alliteration, that's great.
I'd be sad to live in a world without Mills & Boon because they bring so many people enjoyment and happiness, and it's such an easy way to relax and be happy.
Yeah, I mean, they're a treat that you can do without, but yeah, if you did, then you'd probably be a sad person.
She believes there is no stronger emotion than love, and that it truly is a force that can overcome pain, past rejection, and the challenge of finding happiness, despite the hardest things life has to offer.
My boyfriend is a little bit bemused about the whole thing. He doesn't really get it, but I don't think it bothers him particularly. In the past, I don't know, I think guys have kind of been quite chilled. My ex, his mum used to buy me Mills & Boons. Don't know what that says. What about you, Mel?
Well, my boyfriend doesn't like it at all, actually. He gets quite cross if he finds me reading them. I think he thinks it's pornography for women. And also he gets cross because he feels that as a feminist I should know better, which is possibly true. And that he thinks it kind of denigrates women because it's kind of putting them into a particular role. And I think he also has concerns about perhaps filling me with dreams of an ideal man that maybe he can't live up to. Bedded for Revenge. Now that's a Mills & Boon title.
Yeah, that's such a Mills & Boon title.
Men should be worried. Romance is being repackaged for the Topshop generation. The latest imprint is called Little Black Dress.
We're not directly comparing it with Mills & Boon because we're going for quite a different audience. We want to appeal to people in their 20s and 30s who buy magazines, who read chick lit, who watch Sex and the City, girls who want a very easy slice of contemporary romance that's very reasonably priced. They're $3.99 and you can buy a magazine for £3.50. So if you've got a plane ride that's 2 hours long, or a train journey, or if it's raining outside and it's a horrible afternoon, you pick up a Little Black Dress book and you sit on the sofa or sit in the plane or whatever and read it. You should also think, right, I've just been dumped, I'm really hungover, I feel crap, I've got a really annoying meeting this morning. What am I going to read on the way in? This book that's going to take me you know, 2 hours to read that takes you completely out of yourself and totally delivers on promise. So that is Little Black Dress.
So you're trying to tap into that sort of fashion branding, so Little Black Dress. So you're thinking, you know, you pick up one of those with your Jimmy Choos and your kind of Chloe handbag.
Absolutely, yeah. Or your, you know, £10 top from Primark.
And happy endings, prerequisite, gotta have a happy ending.
Totally. Absolutely. I don't mean totally trite, definite waltz off into the sunset, but if you're asking people to invest their time in characters, you have to have shown that they've moved on in some way. So if the author at the last minute says, oh, by the way, we were just playing with you, I want my money back. I would get really cross when people do that. I think it's really, really wrong. I think you have to have a happy ending.
I've been searching a long time. Someone exactly like you.
I think we need a happy ending in romantic novels because it makes us feel that everything's going to be okay for us, you know, and there's going to be a happy ending for us. And we're all going to live happily ever after, and it just makes people feel secure and happy.
I was sent to boarding school because my parents were splitting up. So it was a combination of I sort of didn't have a stable home anymore, I didn't have a stable background, and I was put into a totally new environment. So when I first came upon romances and then I started reading them more and more, it was like giving me back some form of stability, because every happy ending, you know that that's a promise that those two people will go riding off into the sunset and stay married. So I think it was really encouraging to me to believe that this was a possibility.
You do go out into the world and expect to find your Mr. Darcy or your Rupert Campbell Black. And it's a bit of a shock to the system when you realise that he's not going to come along immediately, if he comes along at all. But at the same time, happy endings do exist, and you do see that every day. My parents have just celebrated their 23rd wedding anniversary. And, you know, that's a pretty happy ending.
For the mutual society, help and comfort that the one ought to have of the other, both in prosperity and adversity, into which holy estate these persons present come now to be joined.
It's extraordinary how, however many times life shows us the contrary, we all believe that marriage is going to end happily. And when you see weddings, tears spring to your eyes. You know, I want to see my children married because I feel that once that happens, everything's going to be all right. And this is, you know, this is 2006, you know, and I've divorced and practically everybody I know is divorced, but that hope always springs up again.
I don't like happy endings where the man is presented as the happy ending. I like happy endings where, you know, where somebody has learned something about themselves and they've learned how to cope a little bit better in the world and they've learned to coexist with their past. But to present the man as the only version of a happy ending, that makes me very, very, very uncomfortable. It just makes me think of codependence and, you know, sick relationships and, you know, somebody who's very, very unhappy on their own and they're just looking for another person to give them validation. I think that's never going to work.
You don't want depressed. You don't want, no, they split up because he spent too much money on Ralph Lauren shirts or something. You want them going off into the sunset. I want the sunset. I want the door of the bedroom closing and I want the sunset.